Okay, before we get into this video, first we've got to agree on three things. Number one, that you are aware of the seriousness of the times that we're living in, and you are doing everything in your power to keep yourself safe and as healthy as possible, as well as the people around you. Number two, we assume that you expect to get out of this crisis on the other side alive. And number three, that you're open to information that will help you to make it out on the other side in the best position possible. So, if you're still here and you're interested to understand how you might benefit from this crazy time that we're living in, keep watching. Hi guys, I'm Eva Ford, social worker, mindset mentor, and coach. And on this channel, we talk about all things money and mindset to help you live your richest life. And in order to have the conversation that we're about to have, we've got to really put things into context and talk about mindset and how our brains work, especially around a time like now when coronavirus is on everybody's mind and in every news source. I'm no neuroscientist, but I'm fascinated with this conversation about the brain and what's been happening to most of our brains since this outbreak of coronavirus. Now, something I learned about fear is that it's our brain's response to external stimuli. And when we have situations like we have right now, where there's so much fear around, we get this phenomenon called social contagion that's actually spreading faster than the coronavirus itself. And it's this idea that people pass on fear from one person to another, and that it grows and grows and grows. And we can see evidence of the results of that by looking in the grocery stores. No food, no toilet paper. And it's because of this chemical that's not only being produced in our individual brains, but it's spreading like wildfire. Another thing that I found out about fear is that it's actually addictive. And that's because of this overproduction of adrenaline in our brains. And adrenaline, you've heard of an adrenaline rush, and that we can really become addicted to that. And so it becomes hard for us to let go of the fear, and we just keep perpetuating it and perpetuating it and perpetuating it. As a matter of fact, we can be so controlled by this addictive behavior, these addictive thoughts, that we're not actually helping ourselves, we're not helping anyone else. Fear can cause anxiety, it can cause depression, it weakens your immune system, which is absolutely the last thing that you want during a crisis like Corona that we have right now. It impairs our memory, it interrupts the process that controls our ethical behavior and that regulates our emotions. And not to mention that people can actually die from fear. So fear is not actually a helpful or a beneficial emotion to practice. And one of the things that I've learned from my research is that our emotions, just like our thoughts, are habitual. So if you find yourself or the people around you continually practicing or talking about the virus in a fearful or unproductive way, recognize that that's actually a biological response. The good news is you can actually interrupt those fearful thoughts and replace them with more beneficial, more helpful thoughts that will actually move you in a more productive direction, which is why you're watching this video. So you've got to be able to do three things that Tony Robbins suggests. And he says that for anyone who wants to make a change in their life, you've got to first see things as they are, but not worse than they are. And I know it's really tempting in a time like Corona to see things as worse than they are. We hear about the death statistics. We hear about how fast the virus is spreading. And when we see things like schools being shut down and businesses closing and nobody on the streets, it can be really fearful. But here's the thing. You want to see things as they are, not worse than they are. And the truth is that the majority of people who get the virus recover fully. There are things that you can do to keep yourself and the people around you healthy and safe. That's the truth. And that there are countries like China who now are showing decreases in the numbers of cases so that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So you want to see things as they are, not worse than they are, and it means you've got to tell the truth. Now, I know you can find truth in many forms, but that leads us to Tony Robbins' second recommendation is to see things better than they are. And that means creating a vision for your future. And this is really the meat of the video and how you can benefit from the time that we're living in now. Because if you can imagine coming out on the other side of this crisis in the best possible scenario, what would that look like? Would you have a thriving business that's earning you money, that allows you to quit your job? Would you have learned a new language? Would you have learned a new skill? Would you have moved to a different region, living a better life? I don't know what it looks like for you, but I want you to right now sit down and take some time, if you've never done this before, to think about best case scenario. If you were to come out of this time that we're living in, best case scenario, what would that look like for you? And what would that look like for the people around you? And this is exactly what Tony Robbins means when he says to see it better than it is. So first step, you're going to see it as it is, not worse than it is. And the second thing, you are going to see it better than it is, meaning you're going to create a vision for your life, a vision for what you actually want to see happen in the future. And that vision can look like anything. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about creating opportunities. Dr. Carol Dweck has a book called Mindset. And in it, she makes the distinction between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And people with a growth mindset are right now looking at ways that they can expand, looking at ways that they can grow, considering what opportunities this time provides. Now, if you're not sure how to identify an opportunity, we're going to talk about it right now. What you've got to do is you've got to consider, what do people need right now? What are they looking for? What are they asking for? And what do people want? I can tell you just off the top of my head, during this time of Corona, people are looking at how to be calm and how to reduce anxiety. People are looking at how to relieve boredom. What exercises can I do at home? How do I make money online? How do I teach my children from home? How do I build a better relationship? How do I connect with people remotely? How do you work online and earn an income? How do you invest so that your money makes money for you, even if you're not working? How do you maintain a sanitary environment? How do you detect viruses or illnesses? How do you stay fit at home? How do you boost your immune system through your diet or through exercise? There are tons of needs that are presenting themselves right now, and you have the opportunity to capitalize on those needs. Now, I'm not talking about price gouging, or I'm not talking about doing anything unethical. Absolutely not. I'm talking about identifying what the needs are and then addressing that need, filling that need, and charging for it. Now, whether or not you do this for yourself, I guarantee that someone will. In fact, I'm sure many people will, because we've never had a situation like this where so many people are home. What are they doing at home? They're online. They're looking for solutions to their problems. And you have an opportunity to help them solve their problems and be that solution. So that's what we mean when we talk about identifying an opportunity and benefiting through this crazy time that we're living in. Now, the third thing that Tony Robbins says is he says that you've got to make your vision look like reality. That's the third thing. So the first thing is see it as it is, not worse than it is. Second thing, see it better than it is. That's creating your vision. And then the third step is to make your vision into reality. And that is the step where you close the gap. You close the gap of information. So maybe you need to learn a new skill yourself. You close the gap of knowledge. So maybe you need to hire a coach You close that gap of information so that you can not only help someone else benefit, but you can benefit from this crazy time that we're living in. I know that we're living in very uncertain times right now, but this is the best time for you to do something that you've never done before, to try something you've never tried before, and to actually create an opportunity through this crisis that will support you when we get out on the other side. Now, if you happen to be a person that's struggling with anxiety or really struggling with how to get through this, keep in mind you have a choice on how you're going to use your mind or if you're going to let your mind use you. You're going through a biological experience. We all are. So it's important for us to take control of our minds and not let our minds control us. I absolutely believe you can dream, be, do, or have anything you want, but it starts with your mindset. So make sure it's a rich one. Wash your hands and download a free copy of the Rich Social Worker's Guide to Creating a Wealth Mentality. Like, subscribe, comment, all the things, and I'll see you on the next video.